Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fe'ayom, Shabbat Shalom, Maya Fe'ayom, Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fe'ayom, Shabbat Shalom, Maya Fe'ayom, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, John, Hines, and Jeannie, thank you. And for those watching at home, my name is Rabbi Brian Zimmerman. This is Beth-El congregation in Fort Worth, and we are glad you're joining us on this Friday night, wherever you are here with our congregation in person. A reminder that if you're following at home on our weekly e-blast, and if you're following us from another place, we learned of someone new from Canada who's been watching us this year. You can get our e-blast, and there's the link, and you can click on there to our online prayer book. We'll be calling out those page numbers. Also, if you have one of the thicker prayer books, a reminder that we're always referring to the page numbers in italics. And finally, this is our Women of Reformed Judaism Sisterhood Shabbat. Feels like it's been a year. I don't know how much longer I can use that joke. It's getting, but sorry. No, but it's great to have our, okay, so no one even knows what I just said. It is great to have you back here and in our sanctuary and leading us in worship. The leaders of our sisterhood, our Women of Reformed Judaism, who take such an active role in our congregation through their fundraising, their help with camp, their help with this community, their Friday night flowers, and a ton of other things they do that I'm not going to say because I will end up ruining Michelle, their president's speech. But we are so glad to have you here with us on this Shabbat and to have others with you this Shabbat as well. In addition to whatever turning over of the WRJ board, I just want to give out a shout to Howard Bellett, who had a year that certainly no president could have planned on except other temple presidents this year, and was behind the scenes doing so many things. This week is our temple board meeting, our annual meeting on Sunday, and we'll have a new president. So Howard got out of sitting on the bema a lot, but I'm sure Russ would share sometimes if you want to sit on the bema. But I just wanted to thank you in the presence of everyone here for the last 2 years and all you've done. I want to welcome everyone else. If you are a visitor, let us know afterwards. And we are going to have some home-baked goods later. We have a couple of rules about that, but we'll get them later. So let's just take a deep breath. If your week was great, whether you're here, whether you are at home, just bring it with you into Shabbat. And if your week was challenging, just exhale, and a new week will come with the Shabbat. We continue with the lighting of Shabbat candles as we welcome Shabbat's presence into our lives, page 120.
As Hollis makes her way up, just a short reminder to please silence your cell phones. Now's the time.
Here's the hard part. The hard part's
Yeah, getting your book in there and everything.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need and all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness and peace and love.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu המצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר, להדליק נר של שבת.
Continue on page 124.
We read responsively, excuse me. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. Please turn to page 133.
We read together at the bottom of the page a psalm. Sing to Adonai a new song. For God has worked wonders. God's right hand, God's holy arm
Has won
won
God's
victory. Adonai has manifested God's victory, has displayed God's triumph in the sight of the nations. God was mindful of God's steadfast love and faithfulness towards the house of Israel.
All the ends of the earth.
Beheld the victory of our God. Raise a shout to Adonai, all the earth. Break into joyous song of praise. Please turn to page 138 for Lacha Dodi.
We will sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, and then turning toward the entrance of the sanctuary on verse 9.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'tzakor v'dibur echad, השמיענו אל עם יוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשמו תפארת הלכייה. לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסולך, סוף מעשה במה שבקתילה. לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בעורק קומי, אורי, 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 שתעברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום העטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, צוק אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Please turn to the Chatzi Kaddish on page 144. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabba, v'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv, vimeru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam ulam me'amaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitroman, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha brichu, leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran me'alma, v'meru, amen. Turn to page 146 for the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavorach, Baruch Adonai Hamavorach le'olam va'ed. Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due, now and forever.
Baruch et Adonai Hamavorach, Baruch Adonai Hamavorach le'olam va'ed.
We continue on page 149.
This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over?
Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim.
ונשמח ונבכה תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
May be seated.
You may be seated. Thank you. Continuing on page 154.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'el asher anochi matzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'aderech uv'shachbecha uv'kumecha Ukshartam laot al yadecha, v'hayu latotafot bein einecha. Uktavtam al mezuzot, beitecha uvisharecha. Yama'an tis karu, v'asitem, et kol mitzvotai, v'item kedoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Asher chotzeti etchem, Me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem lelohim, ani Adonai Elohechem. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments, and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God.
Adonai.
We continue in the middle of page 157.
We read responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in the dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. We'll be turning together to page 161, please. Middle of the page in English.
Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are truth, protection, and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread us over your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours.
Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Israel, ve'al Yerushalayim. Continuing with the Shamru on page 162.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם לעולם כי ששת שנים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
Please rise and join in the tefillah and the avot, page 164. Adonai Sefer Tiftach
Ufia Gitahilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'chonei Hachol, V'socher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Gula Libnei B'neihem, Ma'an Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Hoser U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'Yezrat Sarah.
Let's continue in the middle of page 168.
Who is that? Who is it? Next.
Oh, you can stay.
You are forever mighty, Adonai. You give life to all. You rain dew upon us. You sustain life through love, giving life to all. Through great compassion, supporting the fallen, healing the sick, freeing the captive, keeping faith with those who sleep in the dust. Who is like you, source of mighty acts? Who resembles you, a sovereign who takes and gives life, causing deliverance to spring up and faithfully giving life to all?
Revive.
Who is like you? Sorry. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives life to all. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekayeh HaKol.
We're on 171. Where might I go to find you, exalted, hidden one? Yet where would I not go to find you, ever-present, eternal one? My heart cries out to you. Please draw near to me. The moment I reach out for you, I find you reaching in for me. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
You set aside the seventh day for your name, the pinnacle of creation, and you blessed it above all other days, more sacred than all festival times. So it is written in your Torah, the heaven and the earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day, God had completed the work that had been done, ceasing then on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, and ceased from all the creative work that God had to do. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot, and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness, and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai our God, grant as our heritage your holy Shabbat, that Israel who sanctifies your name may rest on it. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Makadesh HaShabbat.
Continuing on page 174 with Ritzeh.
Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu Be'amecha Yisrael Utafila ונעתום באהבה תקבל ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודת ישראל וחננו שפוך רוחך עלינו ותקצנה עינינו בשובך לציון מרחמים ברוך אתה אדוני המכתיר שכינתו
Page 177 at the top. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all of these and more, we offer thanks.
Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ucha na'eh lahadot. You can take time to read over the next few pages as you like. We'll take just a moment of silent prayer.
just a few words. Somehow or other, tonight's portion didn't exactly inspire me, so I'm just going to deviate just a short bit and talk a little bit about last week's portion, or just kind of segue off of it. It was the passage where Miriam died, and basically, in a nutshell, it says Miriam died, and Miriam died there, and she was buried there, and that's all there is. And then there's no water. Moses and Aaron go, and he hits the rock. They don't get to go into the promised land, and there's a whole bunch of hoopla about that. Everybody was angry about there not being water, something maybe they didn't think about when Miriam died, that they didn't celebrate her more. Or is it the question that maybe, they didn't think they needed to because she knew that, how important she was. And so in that line of thinking, it's kind of what I ended up with last week was saying that, she and Miriam, as a prophetess and a hero, she brought a lot of, she set a role for the women in terms of setting out that the home was as sacred a place as the temple, that dance and music and song could be as holy as prayer, and, that those were just wonderful things, and that Miriam's well, the water, was symbolic of more than just the water, but the nourishment that she brought without a whole lot of fanfare. And sometimes that is what the women do. And I know there's a lot of things that have changed over the years, even in my time, since high school, when I remember saying to a senior English class, I'm going to be an engineer, and then I just paused waiting to get a reaction, and, people kind of giggled because they thought I was kidding, Well, some things have changed, and sometimes these things haven't changed. It depends on who you're around and who you're with. But I wanted to just say that, Beth-El has was formed in 1902 and met in rented rooms. And it was the Council of Jewish Women that pushed for the construction of a real building. And they hosted potluck dinners to raise seed money for a temple. They did this at the annual Fort Worth Fat Stock Show. And my understanding is sometimes, even because they wanted to have sales and they wanted to make money, sometimes there was even ham served, and and they would do home meals that they would auction off, but the women were determined they were going to be in a building, even if the men thought it wasn't, that renting was just okay. And they continued to do all of this to raise the money to have a choir and to pay for religious school teachers and supplies, and to pay the women of Beth-El. They raised the money that bought that Steinway how many years ago, Hollis? A lot. A long time ago.
This is the original instrument. This is the original Steinway.
Yeah, in the 1920s. So, but anyway, something else that you may not all appreciate or understand that I think is just really wonderful. Beth-El, believe it or not, Beth-El had the first sisterhood chapter in the state of Texas. It was another 2 years before the next one was formed in Corsicana. And it was like another 4 years before Dallas had a chapter. So not only did we trump everybody else on that, we had Opal Lee too, Fort Worth was known. And I just, we started in 1913 with 6 members. And at that time, the national organization came up with a couple of projects, but one of them was union grams. And so we're talking about the early 1900s. And those uniongrams were to offer, congratulations for special occasions and, for any occasion. And ever since, Beth-El has used uniongrams to celebrate milestone anniversaries. Now, I have to admit, the pandemic has been hard. There are some people who haven't gotten theirs yet because it's been a struggle, but we are ready to make a comeback with that. And we will have our own uniongram that will be designed by has been designed by Miss Liz Mannion in the front row, our graphic artist, because nationals are no longer making anything bigger than a little postcard. And you can't get enough names on those. So we'll be having a new version since nationals aren't doing them, but they support the YES Fund, which is Youth Education and Special Projects. And what that means is the monies that we will share with the YES Fund through uniongrams will go to rabbinic and cantorial scholarships. It will also go to camperships. It will go to support the RAC, the Religious Action Committee in Washington, D.C., and to support, in general, the reform movement all around the world. And so, if you've ever wondered, what is a uniongram when you see those forms come to you, I wanted you to all know what they are and what they do and what they mean to everybody. But it was the women that came up with it. And I just thought that was really special. And for some other notes, and I won't take much longer, Ruby Cantor, for whom there is a leadership fund in Sisterhood for young leaders to go to their first event. She was when she became president in 1971, she was the first one able to convince the Beth-El board that the Sisterhood president should be a voting member. And that was really a tribute. She was a force to be reckoned with. I think anybody that knew her would agree to that. And to kind of wrap it up, the very next year in 1972 was the first Sisterhood Shabbat, of the first time that the women led a service together. So we have lots of women who have been out here and up here, presidents of Sisterhood, who have been presidents of companies, who have been presidents of Beth-El, and have been members of all different sorts of boards and have brought all sorts of love and life to this temple through everything that they do and give. And to Hollis, I wouldn't know any of this stuff if I hadn't read her book. So thank you, Hollis, for the archives and for the Centennial book that put all of this someplace where somebody else could read it and continue to tell the stories. Anyway, glad you're all here. So good to be back, and there's real food.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, everyone, for coming out here tonight. It is so wonderful to be back in this building and up here on the bima and seeing all these wonderful faces, and hi to everybody out there in cyber world. It's just really good to be back, and I'm sure everybody feels that way. Sisterhood, WRJ, Women of Reform Judaism, whatever you want to call us, we are a wonderful group of women who get together and enjoy being together, doing things together, raising money, supporting the school, supporting camperships, supporting each other. And I could not do that without a wonderful team that works with me. So I'd like to introduce my board, and I'd like you all to stand up when I introduce you. First, of course, we have Linda Hoffman, who's a VP of membership. And we have Eve Schulman, who is our VP of programming. Shayna Coyne, who is VP of Religious School. Jeannie Rosenblum. I'm sorry, I was flashing back to someone else. Jeannie Rosenblum, who is our recording secretary. Kim Factor, who is not here right now. She's on her way back from San Antonio and stuck on 35. But she and Marge Van Giesen, and I saw Marge here. There she is. They are our culinary VPs. And of course, I missed Liz Mannion. She's our correspondence secretary and our extraordinary graphic artist. And finally, we have a new treasurer on board, Jenny Solomon, if you would like to stand up and say hi. Thank you so much for joining us. And I couldn't do what I do, and we couldn't do what we do without these wonderful women. So I'd like you to please help me thank them for everything that they do. Okay, you can sit down. So some of the things that we do, just so that you're aware, is we do give a $10,000 donation every year to Religious School, and that is counted on in our budget. They really need that money. If we can give more, we give more. And we do camperships for Green Family Camp or other Jewish camps. We give that money to the temple to be distributed as needed as well. The way we make this money is through your membership, through our annual brunch, or this year our unbrunch, which I would really like to thank everyone who participated in that and everybody who helped out with that. That was and donated. It went off beautifully, and we had a wonderful Zoom meeting, and it was wonderful. We also do the gift shop. The gift shop, all that money that you spend there, instead of spending it on Amazon, goes right back into our religious school and our kids. So keep that in mind before you click on that buy now button. Some other things that we do, we did break the fast this past year. We organized that. We also always do second night Seder. We organized that this past year. Even though they were only drive-through events, they were still events, and we didn't want to miss those. This year, we will be able to hopefully do our Rosh Hashanah reception that we do every year and is always beautiful. And we've also been doing small things, like we've got a book club that Jeannie runs for us every other month, and we have happy hours that we do, and we're going to have one in person next month, which is going to be wonderful. So that will be at Meso Maya. I don't remember the exact date, but it's in the bulletin. It's on Thursday night. Yes. It's in July. And we've had game nights where we have consistently beaten Brotherhood. They have yet to win the teddy bear back from us, but that's okay. They may someday, and then we'll have to graciously give it back to them. Liz saying no. But we do a lot of things to remain social and remain relevant, and it's important that you continue to support us so we can continue to support you. And speaking of support, I have something special that I'd like to do if you give me one quick second. Rabbi Zimmerman, could you join me for a moment? On behalf of Women in Reform Judaism, we would like to present you with this award for getting us through COVID.
Seems odd that I'm getting a gift today. It's the WRJ. Wow.
This is a sculpture from Gary Rosenthal, who has now retired from making new work. So I hope that this is meaningful to you and helps us remember what a good year we had.
Yeah, there's a Chamsa and a star and a tie. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you very much. That's your whole.
That's it, I'm done.
I'll put this right here and you can see it. That's very kind, because there are a lot of people who made this year happen, and I won't go into all those now because I'll share it at the annual meeting on Sunday. But thank you for everything you do. And I know soon we'll have the gift shop running, and it's hours. I don't know when, and support them. And thank you. It's strange to be getting an award on WRJ night. You guys should be getting an award, but thank you very much. That's all I'll say is thank you. And what a surprise, and I'll be putting it in my office. And the top symbol is a Hamsa, which is a Jewish symbol of healing and wholeness. And we know that there are, somebody took my Mishaberach notes down. Okay. Somebody in the group has the Mishaberach name. So, as we transition from this to the next part of our service, this is a symbol of healing and wholeness, and we know that there are many who are physically or emotionally ill or broken. Our prayer goes out to all of them. I did just find out that Antoinette Baker is ill, and we share our prayers with her. And while I look around the room, if you'd like to share the name of someone who is sick, please go ahead and share that name with us now as I look through the sanctuary. Okay. This is actually this week's, but that's okay, because that's Antoinette. It's okay. I'm sorry. We'll start over here. Anyone else with a name of someone who's ill? Please, Ruth. Thank you. We have the names of Charlotte Fiwis and Stacy Lewis, Maria Schoen, Elliot Blumberg, Katrina Joy Rogers, Eddie Sankery, Mike Fox, Ann Westerman, William Westerman, Robert Bogan, Christopher Long, Karen Delavan, Kevin Delavan, Sherry Goldstein, Ariella Belikoff, Dee Steer, Robert Diamond, Bob Schmitz, Mimi Grossman, Fred Boyd, Brittany Elaine Drake, Judy Cohen, Rabbi Claudio Kogan, Rabbi Rob Nusenchuk, Len Anthony, Jody Platt, Dick Kirstein, Leonard Furstenfeld, Beverly Ross, Connie Lewis, Myron Morgan, Sylvia Morgan, Gordon Brody, Olga Pamplin, Harry Phillip, Louis Schultz, Lee Schultz, Alvin Deitchus, and Antoinette Baker, as I mentioned, as on page 371, we continue with Mishaberach.
We will actually be singing Hilas now instead of chanting the Mishaberach for this evening.
Rafa'inu Adonai v'neracheh, Moshiinu v'nivashea, El karov lechor korav, HaKarov yireyav yishor. We pray for healing of the body. We pray for healing of the soul, for strength of flesh and mind and spirit. We pray to once again be whole. El Narafana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuat shelema. El Narafana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuat shelema. Heal us now.
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 We are taught that the broken pieces of our lives and of our families and of each other can become whole again when we work as one to meet that day of brotherhood and sisterhood. And so we see that best reflected in the Aleinu on page 586, the day when all will look to one another as one people. We rise before the open ark.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גאולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצון, ולא זמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כואב בגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Rabbi Alexander Schindler, former president of the Union of American Hebrew Congregations before it became Union for Reform Judaism, before his passing said, "Life is never being, it is always a becoming, a relentless flowing on. We move through the various stages of life, as Shakespeare put it, each with its entrances and exits. The infant becomes the child becomes the adult. There is simply no turning back. As we move through our own journeys, we think of those who have touched our life, those whose imprint is with us, strong women and men who guided us and inspired us to take our positions of leadership, to help all of those in need, to raise a hand to lift them up. We think of them on this Shabbat, and it is our custom, if you hear the name of one you have lost and are comfortable, to rise, and then at the end we all rise to offer our strength with you. And so on this Shabbat, we mention Dr. Robert Bob Capper, inspiration to many, husband of Joyce, whose memorial service was just this morning here in the sanctuary. We mention Marla Rivera, mother of Jaime. We mention Randy Koonsman, beloved son of our own Susie Koonsman, who will be remembered at a memorial service here in the gathering area tomorrow at 3 p.m. And we add the names, the yahrzeits of their deaths, the anniversaries of their deaths, of Valerie Rosenthal Aronoff, Sharon Bollock, Elaine Bernstein, Grover Bressert, Julian Brown, Dave Chikotsky, Isidore Echt, Charles M. Ekbar, Leonard Fadden, Simon Florsheim, Rhoda Fontanelli, Brian David Fritzer, Meyer Gabert, Stella Meyer Goldsmith, William Haas, Erica Hoxter, Harry Hoffman, Irma Leff Howard, Syed Kabudi, Roseanne Munt Lammensdorf, Sylvia Lusky, Amy Murfeld, Herman H. Miller, Hazel Weltman Rubenstein, Walter C. Sanders, Sidney Stern, Imra Ungar, Leo Zev, and we mention the names of those still as they search who were killed in the tragedy in Florida last night. For all who are in mourning, all who are broken, we rise. Turn to page 598 to show support. Yitgadal v'yitgadas shmei Rabba, bi'almal divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chaye chon v'yomei chon v'chaye d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'lamei maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitala, Shmeid Kudsha Brichu, Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiram bi'alma v'imru amen. Shlama Rabba min Shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. O se shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May God, the source of strength, bring these strength, wholeness, life to all who are in mourning, all who are in need of community. And let us say, Amen. Please be seated. Following our closing song, stay here for a moment, please, for Motzi and Kiddush, the blessing over wine and challah. Our closing song is Miriam's song, which is in the 646. Please feel free to join in with us.
Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long.
are. Thank you. As we look to Kiddush and Motzi and our closing prayer, I just want to say, Michelle, to you and the whole WRG, thank you for everything you do. I'm speechless because I was the last person who I really expected to get a presentation at the Sister at Shabbat. It just wasn't something I expected, so I really am speechless. A lot of people were the glue this year. I was just in New York City, and there are a lot of people on the streets who think they're prophets in search of a congregation. So you can be as spiritual or as connecting as you want, but you're only as strong as the people who build a synagogue with you. So thank you to each of you for getting us through this year and getting us through the sea to the other side. So before we join in Kiddush and Motzi, just a little bit of direction. We're taking baby steps each year, each week, each moment. So now we have some home-baked goods in there. So they're all on plates. That means that you can take your plate, and if you like what's over here, you can take a second plate, and then you can put the other wrap things or the little clementines on your plate. But we're still not at the point of, I'm kind of on a diet, I'll just take half a brownie and put the rest back. So just help us by grabbing the plate or the plates you like and then greeting people a little bit back from that. So that's how we're going to do that. I'll ask you to rise with us for Kiddush and Motzi as we welcome the sweetness of Shabbat into our midst. There we go. Oh, please.
I was just bringing it up. Yes, for the sweetness of Shabbat, join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kosho be'ahav uvratzon yinkilanu zikaron la'maaseh bereshit ki hu yom tehila la'mikra'e kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'chata miotanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat koshecha be'avad uvratzon hinkaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. Chaim.
I can see it. I don't know who's going to get to take this challah, but there is cut up challah outside, so you can do that also. We'll join in the blessing. This is the display challah. Someone will. So there we go. And so we join together the Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
All of you, but certainly especially to our WRJ and certainly to Howard as this time comes to an end, although there's still a lot the past president does, and to Russ as he begins, and to Leah Kreindler, who was our 50th president, will continue with that. We offer this blessing, and of course to Eric Deutsch, who couldn't be with us, who is the president of the MRJ. Let's see if you guys can dance like the WRJ when you have your service. And to all of you ask, Yivarecha Adonai v'yishmarecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God watch over you and guard you. May God grant you strength and shalom. May God grant you peace. May you feel God through all the days of your life and certainly through this summer and week to come. And we all say amen.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.